You're not just about, okay, I got to hit the 10,000. I got to hit the 10,000. And that's okay. It's okay to be financially driven. I'm very much financially driven and motivated because I've got big purposes for my money, but I also know what's on the other end of what I'm offering to people as well. Is it going to bless my life? Yes. But is it going to bless your life even more? Yes. 100 times. Yes. Good morning, prosperity seekers. Welcome to another episode of the Prosperity Approach podcast. I am absolutely thrilled to welcome another guest we have on the show today. As I've been talking to more people and been receiving emails, and people have been reaching out through Facebook and Instagram, and throughout this whole process, people have said, this is really great for you, but will it really work for me? And I remember thinking that before I had kind of gotten a handle on manifesting and the prosperity approach. And before any of that, I would listen to people who were experts in the field and be so frustrated because I knew what they knew, but I didn't have what they had. And I kept thinking, well, it works for you, but it's just not working for me. Or will it actually work for me? And now that I'm on the other side of that, and I know 100% that it will work if you will work it, I thought, you know what? I need to have other people on the show that have gotten some really fantastic results using the prosperity approach, so that it's not just take my word for it. I don't want you just taking my word for it. I want you to try it on yourself and to implement and to apply what you're being taught, so that you can know for yourself how powerful these principles and these really simple exercises that we do can actually change your life. And so I am so excited to welcome one of my dear friends, Torrie Miller, to the show today. Torrie, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, and we are excited to have you. So first of all, tell us about you. Tell us who you are and what you're up to in the world these days.
Well, I am, if you were to just see me, you would say, she is just a mom, just doing her thing, having fun. But what's amazing about what's going on now is that I sell light therapy, harmonic light therapy. And I used light therapy and thought it was amazing. I never thought I would make money or want to be prosperous or do any of these things, because I was just like sitting home with my little kids, homeschooling them for 13 years, just having the time of my life. I didn't even know I needed Allyson until she popped into my life. I know some people, like you say, people are reading these things and seeing all these successful people and everything. And I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that was available. So I had a long ways to go when I met Allyson.
So tell the audience how we met. How did our paths cross?
Well, it's really interesting because I have this friend, her name's Shirley. She's my dear friend, and we sell lights together to just everyone, anyone and everyone, doctors, people that random people that are foot zoners, massage. I mean, anyone. The whole world needs lights. So that's what I say.
Right.
But she is my dear friend, and she just wants me to be successful. She saw me at home homeschooling these kids, and she knew that I would be good at it. And I didn't know that, but she did. And she had this week at Jack Canfield. And probably a lot of you are aware of who that is. He does kind of the same things in a different way. And I went to this week of Jack Canfield, and my eyes were just wide open. I was like, what? This works? This can't work. This is weird. But it kind of just made this little shift in me, just a little shift that I needed. And then several months later, Shirley met Allyson, and she calls me one day, and she's just like, you are going to love Allyson. And she does this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And the whole time I'm like, and how much does it cost? Because I don't have the money on this. Can you just read the book? Is there a free online course that I can just do that? Because I don't like paying money for things like that. Everybody's thought all those things.
Yep.
And she just has a way of just talking you into it. So she's just like, you got to listen to what she says. And so we got on this phone call with Allyson and a few other friends, and that, we're selling lights. And I heard Allyson's story about how she manifested her trip to Hawaii. And I was just hooked. I love to travel. So I'm a mom, but I'm at home like Google, 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 Google. I've got to find a good deal on a travel. And I'm like, because, I have to get out of the house. Hello. Anyways. And so I was like, I do that all the time. I manifest trips all the time. Can I do other things? What is going on? Of course I can. And I mean, sales, boo, like who wants to do sales? And so I joined Allyson's just group mentoring class, and I just needed these little teeny baby steps. I mean, I was a baby and I was a newborn in this. And so all these little tiny steps and just creating this mindset and shift. And what was that? A year and a half ago, maybe? A
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah. It's about
something.
a year and a half ago. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I would say I'm a completely different person. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. And here's the thing too, not like, Torrie, you were just such a buzzkill when I first met you, because not at all, but just the things that you give yourself permission to dream about and to move towards, and the experience you allow yourself to have along the way now, is just so inspiring, and it's so refreshing to see that. So when we first talked, you had some challenges that you were bumping up against. What kind of challenges were you facing before you were introduced to the prosperity approach? Do you remember?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like most moms. Like I went to college and I'm educated and everything. And then I had 4 kids and I was homeschooling them. And I mean, I did everything. I took all the classes, like trying to get the best thing of everything. I mean, that was like I was enveloped in that. But after like 13 years, you're sort of like, this is kind of getting tiring. I would like to leave the house once in a while, and do other things. And I'm like, I'm pretty good at things. Like I had an awesome job and I went to college and worked full time. Like I'm pretty good at things. And so I thought, well, I can do something else. But I'm like, how? Like if people came to me and they're like, I have this really cool product and do you want to meet at my house and have this meeting and talk about it? I was like, me and my husband have a rule. We don't talk about those things and we don't come to meetings and we just live at home on our budget. Can you make money? No. Anyway, so I just had to get over all these hurdles. Like I'm a mom, but yeah, I can stand for the and, right? I can be a mom and I can be a successful business. I can run a successful business. I am. It's crazy. I had no idea I could do that at the time, and then I had no tools. I had no idea where to even start. So that was like the main problem.
Were you bumping up against a lot of how when we first started talking? Like how would I do this, and is it okay that I do this? And
I would see the goal and I would see me, and I need every little step. I need someone to tell me, do this step and check it off, and then do this step and check it off, and then you're going to get here. And that is not how it works.
Although, it is nice to have like some little places you can jump off at, right? Like, oh, we can work on this for a little while, then we can work on that. Like I appreciate a good formula just like everybody else does, right? Like let's rinse and repeat this baby so that I know how to apply this in every other area of my life as well. So I can certainly appreciate that need of the hand holding and of the, like we're doing it okay and all of that. So what was the biggest frustration that you were feeling during that time?
I think it's just mostly fear. Just like, what if I do this a couple times and I'm successful, but then I could never do it again? What if I, never able to do it? What if I go to all these people and I'm like, I'm going to start a business, Mill Creek Wellness, here we go. And then they're like, in 3 months, like, what was that you were doing? Like, you're spending money for someone to teach you how to anyways. So a ton of fear, judgment from people, you have to do social media. And I was just like, oh, anyways, there's lots of hurdles like that I had to cross.
How were they to cross when you started applying the prosperity approach?
You know what? You just have to let it go. I don't even know. I mean, you just jump in. You just decide and jump in. Because as you know, not making a choice is making the choice, right? Mm-hmm. So just deciding that it's going to be great. It's going to be so fun. When I get on Facebook, everyone is going to love it. And I don't know what they're really saying. I mean, I don't care anymore, right? So, and I cared so much then because I was one of those people being judgy about people selling things, and I'm not anymore. I mean, I'm a totally different person. And who cares? Like, who cares? So, just jumping in. I would just say to someone, just jump in because there's no way to go but move forward. So,
Oh, gal, I love this. I knew we were going to have such a fun conversation, Torrie. I knew it. So you talked about, okay, so you decided and then you jumped in. So what were some of the first things that you did as you were applying the prosperity approach? And what were some of the shifts that happened to you internally at first?
so right. So a lot of just basically just basic mindset things. All the time I would do things and I drop things and I'm like, my life is such a mess. I'm such a mess. And I'm like, stop, turn around. You can't ever say that. So this has been a huge shift and a huge part of it. Like that is never even part of my vocabulary to say that. I mean, you just have to say, so changing my mindset and affirmations and making it an everyday thing and being consistent. So every day you get up, you journal. What am I supposed to work on today? What are my affirmations? Just like the baby things, it's like, what are just the answers that you always say? And you like just being consistent. So there was no way to know how I was going to get here, but I knew I was somehow going to get there. I'm promised. So there's no other way to find out than to just get up and do every step. Allyson said, got to read this book, get my book out. And so I think jumping in meant to me just being consistent and doing the things that you said every day. I mean, you can't halfway do it because then you'll get halfway results.
So, what were the internal shifts that you first noticed? Because without fail, you notice things changing in you before you notice anything changing in your circumstances. And that's how it's supposed to be. Like it's designed to be that way. So, you're doing it right. If nothing has shifted yet except for you. So, what did you notice about you that was shifting at first?
Well, what's funny is I didn't really notice I was shifting, but like me and my husband kind of have the same mindset about money and, how to look at the future and goals. And I found myself going here and he was still back here. That's like the biggest gap that I started to see. I would say, let's do this. And he's like, we don't have the money. We have no money. And I'm like, we never say we have no money. We have money everywhere. What are you talking about? So that's how I noticed. So I probably wouldn't have noticed as much like how the gap got bigger other than him, and I'm happy to say he's creeping up. I've rubbed off on my frequency has rubbed off on him. And so he's doing better. He knows he can't ever say we don't have any money. Like the kids will say, can I have this? And he'll say, we don't have money for that. And I'm like, we say, no, we're not going to spend our money on that. So I just saw that the biggest shift inside of me was just, like I said, the mindset and just seeing where I'm coming from where I had been. So that was pretty fun. I would look at things and before I would think that's what rich people do, or I'll never have money for that. Or I just learned how to dream big. Like, do I want that? And I look at it and go, I actually don't really want that. But then I look at this and go, I do want that. And I can totally have that. Let's write it down. Let's get it on the vision board. Let's figure this out. So those were the shifts I started to see even before, I've set this monthly goal of how much money I wanted to make and all of that. And there's all the ups and downs in that, especially in sales. There's a good month and a bad month and a few bad months and then, whoa, an awesome month. So there's just all those shifts there. But I felt like when I was consistent and doing the things, that I know work every day, that the results were amazing. I mean, I don't know if you want me to go into results right now.
Yes, please. That's going to be my next question. Everybody's like, yeah, we understand that you were feeling better and you're, having more fun, but okay, what changed? So tell us the results. And you can go into, financially, emotionally, your relationships, your health, like all of them if you want. You can just focus on one, but we want numbers, hun. We want concrete, tangible results. What happened?
Well, that's so exciting. So you have to know that for how many years? 16, 17 years, I've like monetarily brought into our family $0, right? So any dollar is awesome. Like when I first started doing this, I'm like, whoa, $400 this month? that's so cool. I can buy this extra whatever. I mean, who wouldn't want an extra $400 a month? And then I'm like, that's kind of awesome. And then it started to get to 1,200 and 2,000. So when I started with Allyson, I was making anywhere between like 1 and 2,000 every other month or monthish. That's kind of how it was, which is awesome for me having no money before. I mean, that was a lot of extra money for us to do fun things. But I was like, what if I made $5,000 a month? What if I did that? And that was just absurd to me. I just thought that can never happen. So, as you know, like a few times I got super close. And then finally, it was like over the top of 5,000. And I learned how to celebrate. I danced. I put my check around my head. I drove to the bank because, you can't do over 5,000 on your online. You have to go to the bank. You have to take the check to the bank.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? I'm like, oh, I have to go to the bank because it's over $5,000. What an awesome problem to have. And then after a few months, I realized I'm like, okay, like I think I need to dream bigger. I need 10,000 a month. So, and of course you do the ups and downs. So ups and downs, up and downs. So I last year made around 34,000, which was triple from the year before.
Whoa.
That was last year. But then this year, I almost made $60,000, doubled again, doubled.
Wow.
And then last month was the fun surprise is that I actually made over $10,000 in December last month. So isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Who is this person? Like,
right.
My husband's like, I think you're going to like start making more than me. What's going on?
And you're like, that is a really noble goal. Let's do that one next.
Yes. Yes, I like that. Let's do that one next.
So okay. So first of all, like congratulations. That is huge. And I remember going from 0 to 500 and to 1,200, and that 5,000 felt so big. And then 10,000 felt impossible. It was like monopoly money at that point. And, I remember that. And I remember because this was before I had developed the prosperity approach. And so it was like this clawing and it was this like ripping my soul apart.
Swimming upstream.
Yes, like all the time. And it was awful. But so how was your experience with that? Going from, going from 10,000 a year to 35,000 a year and then to 60,000 a year, using the prosperity approach. How was that experience for you?
Well, I love that you say that, the clawing and the hard and the swimming upstream and thinking, how am I ever going to do this? And it's exhausting. And I just realized once I let things go and let things roll how they're supposed, God is your source and you just let things roll, they go. Like I literally had no idea till about halfway through December. I'm like, or I guess it was November because it was, November's check that I went, I should like add this up. Like I didn't feel tons busier. I didn't feel like I don't have time for anything else. I'm just working all the time. I just was like, wow, it's been really cool. I've met all these friends. I've like met all these new people. I've talked to all these people. I should probably sit down and add this up. And then my mind was like, won't. Like I had no idea. It just added up and passed the 10. And I was like, I did it before the end of 2020. And I'm like, I almost feel just so, well, I don't feel guilty because, I know how it works. But all these people have just had the hardest year. And I've had my hard things, believe me, but I'm like, it has literally been one of the best years of my life. And it's because I decided, you know what? I'm not falling in this trap. I'm doing sales. I'm selling things to people that cost $3,000 to $10,000. That's what I'm selling. I'm not selling $100 things. And people are losing jobs. People are holding on to their money. But guess what? They're still buying lights. I mean, everyone needs lights more than ever. I mean, we can get into that. I mean, 2020 is so hard, and that's why people need their lights. And depression, anxiety, change, all of that stuff. And I feel so passionate about that. It's easy for me to tell people that they need this and want it. So, and it's fun. It's so fun.
Well, and that's the thing, because you're about the double blessing. You're not just about, okay, I got to hit the 10,000. I got to hit the 10,000. And that's okay. It's okay to be financially driven. I'm very much financially driven and motivated because I've got big purposes for my money, but I also know what's on the other end of what I'm offering to people as well. Is it going to bless my life? Yes. But is it going to bless your life even more? Yes, 100 times. Yes, it's this double blessing for everyone, which makes it so easy to be able to offer the relief and the peace and the for lack of a better word, the healing, but just like all of the just all of the benefits that come with the lights, that come with thinking in a different way, that come with, just these things that like light us up, pun intended. But it just, and you get to decide. You get to decide, are you going to be in a friendly universe? Or are you going to be in a hostile universe? Are you going to be with people who aren't interested in moving forward with their health? Or are you going to be with the people who are very motivated by that and are willing to try alternative things and are willing to do something a little bit different and to think a little bit different and all of that. And I do want to talk about the lights for just a second. But before we go there, you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation about being consistent and like you just needed to be consistent. How was your experience with consistency? I know a lot of people have a rough go with consistency, so I wanted to hear about your experience with that.
Yes. Well, consistency, as you know, is very hard, but once you get in the habit, and then you get out of the habit, then you get in the habit. But what I did and what Allyson helped me with was thinking about things in my life that I am consistent about, like eating lunch. I eat lunch every day, very consistent. I exercise every single day and I have for years. And so I'm very consistent in that. So I focus on all these things that I actually am consistent about instead of like dwelling on, oh, I didn't get up again and meditate. Oh my heck. So so focusing on that I'm consistent in exercise, then I did my things around when I exercise. So I exercise at 5:30 in the morning. So I would just get up before and make sure you did it then, because I'm going to exercise no matter what. I'm not going to sleep through my exercise. So if that's the case, then I have to do that before I exercise. So, and of course I would sleep in sometimes and fall off the bandwagon, but then it would show. And since you're consistent for a while, you know what it feels like, right? And so that pulls you back. So it's just doing, I don't want to say the work because it's not really work. It's just doing the steps that that have this amazing outcome. And so focusing on what you are consistent in and then planning around that, that's what helped me. I don't know about other people, but that's how 5 o'clock. I did it today. Finally, Christmas break was a doozy, but I was like, oh, we're starting Monday, right?
Well, I love that. And you didn't get up 3 hours before you went to work out. Like you did it a half an hour before, 20 minutes before, like things that are doable, that are a little bit stretchy and a little bit uncomfortable at first, but not impossible, especially when you then.
That's the stuff in the day that you can change. Everybody watches TV, right? So instead of watching a show or a TV or something, I would do a podcast. I was not able to watch something entertaining, not really, unless I'd already done self-help book, a podcast, scriptures, anything like that had to be done before I could do that. So things like that. Like I was very like, this is going to happen. The Rocky, you want to play the Rocky music,
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and then I just love that whole decision and that attitude that you made about it. Like you talked about letting it go, and most of us just get so caught up in how do we just let go and how do we do that? But I decided, I don't know how I'm going to get there. I'm just going to get there. And I'm going to do what she tells me to do in these really simple ways. And she promised me I'll get there. So I'm going to trust that and trust the process. And, Wallace Wattles talks in his book, The Science of Getting Rich. He says, feel the faith and let it work out. Let it work out. And I think, and like, that's what you did. You found ways where you were already strong in consistency. And then you just you cushioned it around it. Like you built more consistency in places where it was already natural for you to be consistent, so that you gave yourself that leg up and you helped, you strengthened yourself right from the get-go. And these people might call them cheats. I call them hacks. I call them brilliant. Let's stack the odds in your favor as much as is humanly possible with what we're doing, because sometimes it does feel like work. I mean, I remember talking to you and you're like, I just don't want to get up at 5. I'm just really tired. And we've all been there, right? We can be there. Like 3 days ago, we were there, right?
But human, yes.
Right. Yeah. And we have those times, like Torrie said, like sometimes we sleep in and we just get back up, and then we, do a little bit of rearranging, and we just keep going, and we remember why it is we're doing what we're doing, and then, and just keep moving forward.
I say too, like, I am a completely different person, and it didn't take like some amazing thing. It was just like little teeny every single day, like an hour here, a half an hour here, 10 minutes. Like, you don't have to completely change every single thing you're doing, right, in one day. Like, you're like, January 1st, I'm going to lose 40 pounds, so I'm going to eat like this. And then in 2 weeks, like, you're like, oh, too many changes.
Like 3 days, you're like, I can't do this. Who would want to?
So I don't want to make it sound like I was just like trudging through and every single day it's all I thought about. It's like just these little 30-minute, 10-minute, 5-minute, but just being consistent.
I love that. All right. So tell us what's so amazing about harmonic lights.
Well, you know what? When we talked about serving others, I'm like going to cry. Who doesn't want someone to call them and say, you changed my life? I mean, Allyson, you hear that. I was not sleeping. I was being terrible mom. I couldn't focus. I couldn't think. And now I sleep all night, every night. I wake up refreshed and ready to, play with my kids. I have a mom who's a grandma raising her grandchild who has a brain injury, and they haven't slept in 13 years. And she called me crying one morning saying, we slept for 5 hours. I got 5 hours of sleep. And she's crying. Like, who doesn't want phone calls like that? I've had pain my whole entire life. And every time I've done the lights consistently for a month, and I can get up and play with my grandkids, like just phone call after phone call after phone call. And I know I talk a lot about the money and goals, and like, that's amazing. And it's blessed my life tremendously. But just hearing about what the lights do for others, they're harmonic in nature. So they flash at certain frequencies. And so they put your body in a relaxed state. And if our body's in a relaxed state, it can do its own healing, which is what God put us here. He made this amazing body, and we need to use it how it's supposed to be used. Mm-hmm. And that is my favorite thing about the lights. And there's a bunch of science behind it and everything else, but really all you need to know is they work. I promise you. Anyways, and no one wants to be in pain, and everyone would love a good night's sleep. And I love providing that for people. I love it. It's my passion. And I try to not talk about all the time. My husband, I'm like, are you sick of this yet? Should we talk about groceries, or do you want to talk about lights more?
Do we want to talk about groceries? Well, and I have the same kind of experience as well with what, getting emails from people and just reach outs about how it has worked. And I imagine that you're the same way, where you're like, I knew it would work, and I'm so glad it worked. I knew it would work, and I'm so glad it worked. And it's just the most humbling, awe-inspiring sort of a feeling that you were part of somebody's journey in a really positive way. And I have a mentor who talks about it has to be a double blessing. And I'm all about that double blessing. And you are as well. It's, when you're heart-centered the way that we are, and the audience that is attracted to me is very heart-centered. And so it's wanting to make a difference, but it's okay to also make a dollar as you're making that difference. And you can bless so many lives when you have money. You can bless so many lives when you just make small little tweaks to the way that you're thinking, and the way that you process information, and the way you process the world around you. And like you said, they're just tiny little things.
When someone calls and they're like, oh, this person, we need donations, and you feel so bad. And I used to be like, here's $5. I just really wish I could give more. And you just feel this angst because you got to go with something else to give something. Like it's just the angst you feel. And I'm just throwing money left and right. And someone needs a donation for here. On December 31st, I got on the education county website for the school district. Wrestling, they could use a couple $100. So I just give wrestling somebody. I mean, I don't even know anyone that wrestles, but isn't that so fun?
Yes, it is.
And so I know I talk about money a lot, but there is nothing more fun than giving money away. Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Including giving it away to yourself and your family and your children, and in creating experiences with them and memories with them and with other people as well. But yes, anonymous donations are really, really fun. I really enjoy that. So Torrie, what is the single most important thing that people should know about the prosperity approach, in your opinion?
In my opinion, you have to know that you're going to have a mindset change, and you have to let go and welcome it in. I just feel like if you just sit back and relax and let it come in and welcome it in, and just let the mindset change, and then guess what? Get to work. Jump in and do the work. I hate the word work, but really, I mean, you just have to do it. Like, just jump in and decide and do it. I promise you, it will work for you.
Oh, Torrie, this has been so much fun. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your inner light and the harmonic light and your experience. I knew people would just adore you as much as I do. So, and I know people are going to want to connect with you. There might be some people that are curious about the lights and all that. So how is the best way to connect with you?
Yes. So Facebook and Instagram, it's Mill Creek Wellness, and just go on and type that in and I'll come right up and I'll show my picture. This is what I look like. And then it will have all kinds of things about lights and new goal I'm going to share every day. So there's a lot of stuff on there just telling you what red light does as opposed to blue light and green, and how it can make changes in your life and how you can try it out if you want to. And I would love to talk to you about lights if you want to get on there and message me.
Fantastic. So Facebook is Mill Creek Wellness. Mill Creek Wellness. So Mill Creek Wellness on Facebook. Connect with Torrie, and you will adore her as much as I do. So again, Torrie, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you sharing your experience and letting me celebrate and all of the successes that you've had. And I know you, and you are just barely beginning. And it's such an honor and so much fun to have been part of your journey with this as well. So to all you prosperity seekers out there, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Prosperity Approach.